Hello everyone, this is the Afro Avenger back with another album review, and today's album that I'm looking at is Anti by Rihanna. It was released January 28th of this year, 2016. Some chart information: it peaked at number 1 on the US Billboard 200 and number 1 on the US Billboard R&B/hip-hop albums chart. It was released under the labels Westbury Road and Rock Nation, and its singles were Work, Kiss It Better, and Needed Me. So without further ado, let's get this started. This is Rihanna's most recent release, her 8th to be exact, and has quite a different tone from her previous work. She's kind of stepped away from the typical dance pop that she had been doing, and has instead taken up a more dark R&B/hip-hop approach to her music, which has really been kind of bubbling up in recent years, but this album is where that bubble turns into a huge, steaming boil. Rihanna has always been an R&B artist, singing R&B style songs, but this album echoes more of the styles of the likes of Drake, and more recently The Weeknd. It's actually pretty diverse, but at some points it takes a long time to reach that notion that this album is, in fact, diverse in terms of its musicality. Right from the start, we're met with some minimalistic hip-hop influenced R&B. Think Kanye's 808s and Heartbreak, if you will. From there, it continues to change from simple minimalistic R&B to trap-influenced beats, and later to a more classic R&B style, even containing influences from R&B of the late 50s and early 60s. Sort of a malt shop experience. I wouldn't at all call this album heavy, despite it being dark in its tone. To be honest, it's a bit more atmospheric than past Rihanna albums. Tracks like Yeah, I Said It have a clear influence from late 90s neo-soul and R&B music. But on the other hand, a track like Higher contains a sample of Beside You by the Soulful Strings, really bringing home that idea of 60s soul influence, which really makes this album better in terms of how many of the tracks don't feel the same. This album is really just a collection of influences, despite saying that there are a good number of tracks that reflect music from today in terms of things like trap-influenced beats and things of that nature, but it mixes it up every now and then with influences from all different decades, ranging from the late 50s/early 60s to late 90s/early 2000s. Some of it is trippy like on Woo, much of it is greatly electronica influenced, such as the single Needed Me, which was one of my favorite tracks, and all the music was actually really enjoyable, and as I said, thankfully varied. In terms of music, Rihanna has certainly progressed. However, in terms of lyricism, that's another story. Like many artists throughout their career, such as Janet Jackson, Beyonce, Kesha, and even Diana Ross, Rihanna has recently taken on this bad bitch persona, and it really shows in her music. I remember her song Bitch Better Have My Money. In all truth, this shift has been happening ever since Rated R, her 4th album, which was, of course, created after the infamous Chris Brown assault, and began reflecting darker ideas and a more atmospheric approach to her music. That especially shows in her lyricism, too. It's as if she's grown up from being an innocent girl from Barbados and has turned into a hardworking, shrewd businesswoman from New York, or whatever city has the most hardworking, shrewd businesswoman. It's no surprise, really. Many artists today have become like this, as being a bad bitch is really appealing to the masses. Anyways, I digress. Many of the lyrics seem to deal with the highs and lows of being in a relationship and love. Tracks like Kiss It Better about Rihanna wondering how far someone she used to be with will go in order to win her back, for example. It's a very moody album, with the lyrical ideas shifting modes all the time, but the theme is always intact. This album is about love, after all. As usual, Rihanna has a slurred delivery, which is now somewhat of a trademark of hers, as well as Sia, but I have to be honest, I much prefer Rihanna's style of slurred delivery over Sia's. Perhaps it's because Rihanna doesn't do it on every single song like Sia does. Again, I'm digressing, but Rihanna's delivery really adds feeling to what the lyrics are saying, such as, again, on Needed Me, the descending melody on the chorus while she's singing the line Needed Me gives it some emotional drive, and not making the lyrics feel useless, as a lot of artists seem to do when making the lyrics more of a placeholder for the actual music. The lyrics and music on this album feel 100% connected, and one can't exist without the other. Overall, I really enjoyed this record. The music I thought was great, really dark and rather experimental for an artist like Rihanna, but I'm all for experimenting and trying new things with your music, especially when it turns out to have some really nice results. It was a great blending of very minimalistic electro R&B with hip-hop and trap-influenced beats here and there, as well as some retro 60s style instrumentation at various points, perhaps showing her roots or inspirations. Rihanna managed to really put herself out there in terms of her feelings regarding relationships and her sexuality, which is where the emotion center of this album truly lies. The album flowed relatively well, although there wasn't any particular story to be seen. All the tracks just kind of revolved around a certain theme of the woes of love and relationships, so at least the theme stayed intact. I hope Rihanna continues to progress in this manner. A lot of artists have taken this approach to their music, especially a lot of female artists who want to prove that they're not to be taken lightly, and that they have a badder, darker, more serious, more sexually aware side than what they showed, earlier on in their career. They want to show that they are large and in charge. Beyonce did it, I think Meghan Trainor's starting to do it, and Rihanna's been doing it for a little while. And I think this is the peak, but unless she drops a project that goes even deeper into the rabbit hole than she did on this one, we'll just have to see. Anyways, that does it for this album review. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did enjoy, please hit that like button. Also subscribe if you want to see more, and if there's a song or an album that you want to see reviewed on this show, then leave a comment down below, or check out my Facebook or my Twitter. The links are in the description. But anyways, I will see you all in the next video. So long.